Hello and welcome to this edition of Ringside Digest. I'm your host Kirk Day, along with my co-host Byrne and Nick Miller. And in this video, we got a lot of news to talk about. A recent extension that we spoke about the other day has actually finally happened. To surprise among a few people, the price is pretty good. We also got the Memorial Cup that happened yesterday. Some big events come out of that, and we got a few takeaways that we want to discuss in this video as well. So we're going to go straight into the topic here with the first one, which was the Cole Caufield is signing a huge extension with the Montreal Canadiens, basically. Now, I'm not going to do too much talking about this one. I'll let that over to Nick and Noah, the resident Montreal fans. But I'll just briefly say what it was. Today, the Canadiens brought out this. They've agreed to terms on an 8-year contract extension with forward Cole Caufield until 2030-2031, which is a fantastic contract. 8 years. Lock that guy up because we know how good he's going to be. This also came out from pretty much everybody. To the price. Cole Caufield signs a whopper extension with the Habs. 8 years by 7.85, sorry, with a total of $62.8 million. Now, I'm just going to give my quick thoughts. This is a fantastic contract for the Montreal Canadiens. Locking this guy up for 8 years. You have him and Nick Suzuki on two fantastic contracts, which will be, especially if the cap goes up over the next few years while their contract is still active. It's going to be really, really good in a few years, and it is already. So it's only going to get better from here. But Noah and Nick, let me know what you guys think about this contract here, this extension.
I think it's an absolute win for both the Habs and for Caufield. You know, he's getting a huge deal, locked in with probably the other face of the franchise in Nick Suzuki for at least 7 years. Because I think Suzuki signed an 8-year deal, and then the 1 year was already this year. But you know, the Canadiens got him for under the Suzuki deal, which is kind of what they wanted. And then you also have to play into a factor that the cap is going to spike. And you know, he's obviously an elite sniper in the league. So love the move for the Habs, and I think I personally love it.
Oh yeah, I'm ecstatic about it. As you can tell, I'm wearing my Caufield jersey today. I mean, I can't say enough about how much I love Cole Caufield on the team, and the fact that him and Nick Suzuki are locked up for 7 and 8 years, and the fact that they're making similar money as well. Yeah. Like I would have been fine with 8.5 for Caufield, but the fact that what he said earlier was that he understands that Nick stays the highest player on the team, the highest paid player on the team as of right now. I think it says a lot about him. Like he got his money still. He took care of his family. And he got a long-term deal in Montreal. Like, and the focus is to win. Like that's what Nick and Cole have both said now when they signed those contracts. The main focus is to win. They didn't care about the money. They're under $16 million for two of the top players. I'm just very excited to see what they do next season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one big thing I like about this contract is that he knows what he wants and what he's worth. He still has more to prove. Yeah. He knows that he's not worth the top dollars in the league just yet because he knows that. With the injury, what happened, you know, he knew that he wasn't going to get upwards of $9 million, because that would just be kind of ridiculous for how much he's played with the injury he had. You know, it wouldn't be right. So I like that he knew that he wants less than Suzuki because he wanted the whole situation with him.
Yeah, just to like put it in perspective here, kind of just to get everybody's kind of idea that I got it wrote down here actually. It's Cole Caufield. He's played 123 games and has 53 goals and 84 points. If you look at a guy, say, like Mitch Marner, he had 25 goals and 94 points in his first 23 games. Now, I'm not comparing Caufield and Mitch Marner here because obviously one is significantly a better player than the other. But one got a reasonable contract over 8 years, and the other became the highest paid right winger in the league and only signed for 6. So just a little bit of a perspective for you guys there, just to kind of, you know, see where everybody's head is at. And I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit mind-boggled by it.
I know I got to say, this contract is really good, though. But this also does take us to another topic here, which is, like, what's going to happen with Zegras and the other RFAs that are coming off their entry-level deal? Just guys like Lafreniere, Zegras, Condre Miller, Eric Brandstrom, Jacob Bernard-Docker. The market's kind of set for those guys now that Cole Caufield has finally signed his contract, because he's one of the upper-tier rookies that are looking to get an extension. Because you've already had guys like Matt Boldy who signed a 7x7, and now you got Caufield with this contract. So kind of what does that mean for Zegras? You know, I think that he would be around the same area as Caufield and Boldy. The same kind of the same play style, you know, the same skill level where they're at right now. Obviously he's a lot flashier than those players, I would say, as you know, he does the Michigan a lot, but like I think he'll earn somewhere around there. That's why I think he was waiting for that extension, just to see kind of where the market is at, because I don't think he'd want to sign for too little, and I didn't think he would want to like get too. He would obviously want as much money as you can, But the Ducks wanted to kind of see what they'd be paying guys like Caufield, guys like Boldy, and now that those contracts have started to get the extensions coming with them, it's going to be. I'd say you're going to start seeing talks escalate with those guys like I just said, like Zegras and them. So I would expect that probably over the coming weeks, if not the coming months. Heading into summer, because I think they'll want to get that done as soon as possible, get that out of the way, because that is a big factor for the Anaheim Ducks. You want to get Zegras locked up long term, just like Caufield, just like Boldy, those guys. So what do you think of the market? This does to the market. Noah, let's start with you.
Yeah, I think you said it perfect. I think, this is kind of the base for what's going to come. You look at Zegras, and he's put up some pretty good numbers the past 3 seasons. But I think, the Caufield deal at 7.85 is the prime example of what gets the ball rolling. You're going to see, like you said, guys like Zegras, guys like who else did you say?
Lafreniere, Condre Miller,
so
Jamie
Drysdale. Those guys, So they're all going to get paid, and I think the Caufield contract is going to be a massive indication.
Yeah, the only one I can really see being compared to the Caufield deal is probably Zegras, because I don't really think Lafreniere and those guys have done enough to prove that they're worth that much money yet. You might see Lafreniere have like a breakout season next year or something like that. You might even see him get traded. Depends on what the Rangers are trying to do there, because they've already got like a bunch of guys up front, few UFAs. But to go back to Zegras, I would think that the contract for Zegras would be probably a base of what Caufield got, to around 8.5 to 8.8 million. Because I think Zegras is the better player than Caufield. I think he's a center as well, right? And he's going to be their number 1 center for years to come. So I think you have to look at those factors and say that maybe he's going to get probably anywhere between to what Caufield got and maybe $1 million more. Probably the same around the long-term deal as well. Those other guys, though, I can say they'll all get less than Cole Caufield, but it definitely sets the market for what they may or may not get.
Yeah, it'll also set it for... Go ahead.
Oh, I think you look at a guy like DeBrincat last year too, right? Coming off of a very good year, and I think it was 8.5, something around between 8 and 8.5. So I think the contract is very similar to that, and I think you're going to see guys like Zegras and Caufield both sign in that ballpark.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what the Ducks do as well, because they have guys like Mason McTavish, don't need to be extended yet, but he will be in the next coming years, as well as Troy Terry this year too. So they got a lot of younger guys that need to be signed long term, so we'll see if they kind of go for a longer deal, which I would assume they'd try to go for, or a shorter, and get him on a lower term. But we'll see what happens with that. Still only young in this situation yet. But now we're going to head over to the Memorial Cup, like I said at the beginning of the video. Yes, the Quebec Remparts won the Memorial Cup last night. An incredible game. They beat the Seattle Thunderbirds 5-0. So let me get your quick thoughts on this game, boys, before we go into the big takeaway from it.
Yeah, Quebec dominated. It's pretty evident by the score there, 5-0. But I thought Seattle had a really, really good team. Guys like Brad Lambert, Dylan Genther, Thomas Milic, who was the starter for Canada in the World Juniors. But they couldn't get it done. And I mean, as much as you hate to see that, I love seeing everybody going nuts over there in Quebec. They were all over the place over there in Quebec.
Yeah, it just screams should have an NHL team, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I just want to stay with the World Junior, one of the World Junior guys, Nathan Gauthier for Quebec. He had an absolutely phenomenal year. He won in a calendar year as well. With I think it was August they played the last World Juniors. It was he won the gold medal there. He won another gold medal in December, January. He won a QMJHL title and now a Memorial Cup. The guy is absolutely on a great winning streak, and he's probably one of the more important players on that team as well. It's another Anaheim Ducks prospect.
Yeah, I was just going to say that too.
That's definitely good for them.
Yeah, it's a very good game as well. The big takeaway from this game, though, is really Patrick Roy. A lot of speculation around him returning to the NHL. Seems like yesterday there was probably a lot more now with coming out today that the Rangers kind of don't want him. It's kind of an interesting take because, at least give him a chance. I know that the juniors are a lot different than coaching in the NHL. Very different, because we've seen the success that Patrick Roy had in Quebec Major Junior Hockey League compared to the NHL. He had an all right record in the NHL. He was 130 and 92 with the 3 years with the Avalanche, but it's still a whole different coaching system. It's the guys who are trying to prove themselves versus guys who are playing to win every game. A lot different play style as well. But it's going to be interesting because now that the Ducks were also in on him, they found their head coach. Blue Jackets are tied to Mike Babcock. The Rangers just apparently don't even give him a chance, and that kind of leaves Calgary. So we're going to have to see what happens with him. But what do you guys think we might see with Patrick Roy if he does come over to the NHL?
I like him in either New York or Calgary. I'm all for giving this guy another chance. Obviously you've seen what he did. I think he's been pretty much the coach of the Remparts. I think he was the coach of the Remparts. Then he did those 3 or 4 years with Colorado, and then he went back as the coach of the Remparts. And he's just dominated in junior. Yep. Mind you, you can take away those awful years over there in Colorado, but they were not a very good team player-wise. You see Nathan McKinnon coming off, or he was in his rookie year. All those guys, they're not the team they are now, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But I'd give him an absolute another chance. Calgary has a wicked roster over there, and I think he could light a spark under Jonathan Huberdeau's ass. Quebec kind of connection there. So I like him in Calgary, I got to say.
Yeah, I'm going to say I like him in Calgary too, just because you can never underestimate the mind of a champion and a guy who knows how to win in the NHL. The guy won in the QMJHL. He's won multiple Stanley Cups in the NHL. I know the years in Colorado weren't that great, but like you said, he wasn't really exactly given a great team other than his first year there, really. So I'd like to see Patrick Roy back in the NHL.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. If he actually does come, if he chooses to stay with the Ramparts, we don't know yet. A lot of speculation around it. Nothing confirmed at all, though, but that's all we got for this video. A lot of Quebec news today, so I hope you liked it. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content like this. See what happens with Patrick Roy, see what happens with Mike Babcock, see what happens with Zegras and all those other contracts, but that's all we got. Hope you liked the video. If you did, make sure to like it. Thank you for watching.